rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely the welfare and general working conditions of staff at the Chandarana Food Plus chain of supermarkets, especially at their Diani branch. Mr. Speaker, my office has received a complaint from staff at the retailer alleging cases of mistreatment, discrimination.
Order, honorable senators. May the senator for Nairobi City County be heard in silence, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My office has received a complaint from staff at the retailer alleging cases of mistreatment, discrimination, harassment, racism, and unlawful termination of contracts, a clear pointer to levels of illegality and poor welfare at one of the biggest supermarket chains in the country. I feel obliged, therefore, to speak out on the matter because it may be a microcosm of a larger problem within not just the retail sector but across the low-income demographic in the entire country. Mr. Speaker, for a long time, Kenyan low-income earners have, in a desperate attempt to earn an honest living, endured horrible working conditions and unimaginable abuse from many employers and organizations. Many of these go unreported, but with this silence, their cancer metastasize into a national disaster needing urgent mitigation. Needless to say, low-income earners are the drivers of the economy, and their contribution to the GDP and the national growth cannot be gainsaid. Despite this reality, this demographic is also the most vulnerable to poor conditions of working and weak employment safeguards, and is generally prone to bear injustice without requisite support from the authorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 41 of the Kenyan Constitution prohibits discrimination in recruitment, promotion, pay and conditions of work. Further, the Employment Act 2007 guarantees every worker access to fair labor practices, fair remuneration, and reasonable working conditions, as it clearly defines the fundamental rights of employees. However, there exist wide implementation and policy gaps when it comes to private sector, and when it comes to these laws being put in practice to protect workers. Indeed, a large section of the private sector remains weak on implementation of employment laws and subsequent protection of the working public. The exploitation must be addressed in its entirety and the root causes remedied immediately. Mr. Speaker, sir, apart from cases of workplace harassment being a hidden phenomenon in many of the establishments where the public moves in and out, nearly all of us have at some point encountered employees undergoing overt harassment by their employers. 62 years after independence, it is time to put our collective foot down and squarely tackle the mistreatment of low-income earners, especially in the retail chain sector. It behooves investors running businesses in the country to treat their local staff with dignity, just like it is our collective responsibility as Kenyans to create an enabling atmosphere that promotes thriving enterprise in the country as a key cog in employment. It is immoral to simply expect to have a nation of loyal taxpayers without that labor resource being nurtured and protected as the goose that lays the golden egg. Mr. Speaker, sir, I call upon the Ministry of Labor, trade unions and elected leaders to fearlessly speak out for workers facing such difficulties regardless of the sector they work in. It is important to note that the fear of victimization is a major cause of silence among victims, and it is imperative for leaders to bridge that gap by being firm and principled on the side of justice for the underprivileged. I further call upon the owners and the management of Chandarana Food Plus chain of supermarkets to address the matter of discrimination and harassment not only at their Diani branch, but in all their units across the country. This is a responsibility bestowed by law and by fair labor practices. I also wish to urge Parliament to work towards tightening laws whose weak implementation tends to open the door for such employee mistreatment within the workforce. Together, we must protect the low-income earners in the country from further exploitation. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Apologies, Speaker. Statement by the Majority Leader regarding the business of the week that commences on the 22nd of July, 2025, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. Mr. Speaker, this is the status of legislative business for that week. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have 59 bills, of which 40 are the second reading and 19 are at the committee of the whole stage pending consideration. There are 32 motions, Mr. Speaker, 3 of which are pursuant to Standing Order number 238, all of which have been discussed and are now pending conclusion. Further, Mr. Speaker, we have 28 petitions that are pending conclusion by respective committees. And like I observed last week, 19 of them, Mr. Speaker, are due for reporting already. So I want to request the chairpersons who are in the House, and I can see a number of them, Senator Faki, Senator Issa, I think Senator Muma, quite a number of them, and perhaps some are seated behind me, that I cannot see them, Mr. Speaker. If you're chairperson of a committee and you have a petition that is due for reporting, we are being very unfair to the citizens that petition this House, because they do so believing that we can deliver justice expeditiously, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I hope that we can do that, Mr. Speaker, because that is part of our constitutional mandate, Mr. Speaker. We had an interesting one last week, the one by Mr. Musundi, Mr. Speaker, which we are already counting the 30 days because we continue to see that violation. It was quite tragic, Mr. Speaker. Not tragic, but poetic injustice, not justice this time. Because I spoke about it, and on Friday, last week, I went to a function, Mr. Speaker, as a chief guest, and the member of the National Assembly had actually branded a photo of themselves on that particular bus. I almost asked them to remove it, but then I figured the 30 days are not yet over. So I hope Secretariat, Mr. Speaker, are following up on the resolution of that matter. I was just making that point, Mr. Speaker, to remind our chairpersons on the importance citizens attach to this House, especially with regards to petition. There is a reason why this House receives almost 3 times the number of petitions that our counterpart House, more than our counterpart House, Mr. Speaker. So I want to request of our chairpersons, please don't let that very stellar performance and good record of this House disappear. Honorable Senators will also note that, as indicated in Order number 10 and 11 in today's order paper, 2 bills are scheduled for division at the second reading stage. Further, at Order number 12, the President's reservations to the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, are equally scheduled for division at the Committee of the Whole stage. I therefore request our party whips to mobilize the requisite delegations for the divisions to be undertaken to ensure progress is made on this bill. Particularly, Mr. Speaker, the 2 bills that we concluded in the previous days, county allocation of revenue and equalization, which we concluded yesterday after a very interesting debate, Mr. Speaker, from members who gave their perspectives on who deserves to be equalized and who doesn't deserve. It was quite interesting, Mr. Speaker, to listen to the various perspectives. Those bills are now at the second reading, Mr. Speaker. I hope we can conclude and vote on them this afternoon so that next week we conclude on them and our counties can begin the operation. Mr. Speaker, you know we are almost getting to the last week of July and we haven't considered county allocation of revenue, which is the final instrument that delivers funds to counties, Mr. Speaker. We equally have to, in today's order paper, Mr. Speaker, the county additional allocation bill, another important bill as well that followed almost the same route with the equalization, Mr. Speaker. And I look forward to the debate on that one, Mr. Speaker, because there's good reason why that bill came up. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to request that if we can prioritize voting this afternoon on those very important pieces of legislation for our county governments, I will appreciate. On Tuesday, the 22nd of July, when SBC meets, Mr. Speaker, we shall consider the business of the week, Mr. Speaker, which will include business not concluded on today's order paper, as well as other businesses that are indicated in the notice paper. The Wednesday, 23rd of July, Mr. Speaker, will include questions to the CSs as approved by SPC, as well as motions. We have next week the Minister in charge of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, who's responding to questions by a number of colleagues. We have the CS also for cooperatives and micro, small and medium enterprises, responding to a number of questions, as well as the CS in charge of environment, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, these bills that I have mentioned earlier, that are the second reading stage, which include the county government, state officers removal from office procedure. There's a tobacco control bill, which quite a number of senators have had interesting perspectives on. Mr. Speaker, there's a county government county government's amendment bill, Mr. Speaker. Then there's a street naming and property addressing system bill, a very important bill, Mr. Speaker, that will respond to part of the issues actually that were raised in the petition by Mr. Musundi. These other bills, Mr. Speaker, that are the Committee of the Whole, which include the Sports Amendment Bill, Public Fundraisings Appeal Bill, the Heritage and Museums Bill, Environmental Laws, Statutory Instrument, which is an ADCO bill, County Government Election Laws, it's an ADCO bill as well, Mr. Speaker, Labour, Migration and Management Bill. These are bills that are in the third reading, Mr. Speaker, and I want to request colleagues, if possible, if we can schedule time next week and prioritize the conclusion of bills that we have finished actually moving of the amendments, and all that is required is to vote, Mr. Speaker. So I want to request if members can prioritize their attendance to the House so that we conclude on those bills. We have motions also on reports of the various standing committee, including the Devolution Committee, Mr. Speaker, into the state of markets in Vihiga and Bungoma County, arising from a statement that had been sought by Senator Osotsi and Senator Wakoli, both of the two counties. There's a progress report also from the Cohesion and Equal Opportunity. I want us to debate this, Mr. Speaker, because it's one of the takeaway items that came out of the motion that this House moved after the June 25th protest of 2024, Mr. Speaker. And many times you keep on being asked, after you guys spoke for that long, what else have you done? This committee has done fairly good work, not to the level that we asked of them at that particular time, but why I'm seeking your indulgence, members, is that we need to look at what Senator Chute's committee, the Committee on Equal Opportunities, has done so far, so that we can infuse further ideas about how to make this report conclusive. So I really request if next week we can have a conversation on this, Mr. Speaker, and members can speak to it with passion, because this is one of the things that keeps us as a country on the tenterhooks every other time. The fact that opportunities are not shared equally, and the Senate can lead the way in ensuring that we grant equal opportunity to all Kenyans. Parliament, by the way, Mr. Speaker, I would just make a good example, because I served in PSC, and I know that we have a regional representation policy. Every time we do employment in this House, in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, part of what we consider is a geographical representation of the candidates that, that are being considered, especially where there is mass employment. And there's a quota allocated to every region, Mr. Speaker, including even in internship. This House, Parliament, Mr. Speaker, has internship opportunities for lawyers, for example. And one of the things that we do is that we offer those opportunities per county. So if this year we have county 1 to 15, because there are 15 slots, unless they have increased now, those 15 counties sit out for the next 3 years until the rest of the 32 counties out of the 47 have gotten an opportunity to present a candidate. Such are the kind of intervention that this House can recommend to ensure that as a country, even in terms of employment and equal opportunities, in all and across the span and breadth of the public sector is represented. That needs to be covered in this report, and therefore I want to urge members that next week when we discuss this report, please bring your A game so that we're done. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the projected business for Thursday, 24th, will be any other business that will not have concluded on Tuesday and Wednesday. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hereby lay this statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, before we move to the next order, I have this communication to make. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, visiting teachers and students from Ikundu Primary and Junior School in Murang'a County. The delegation comprises 46 students and 5 teachers who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Now, honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming guests to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Senator for Murang'a under 1 minute to exit. Honorable Senator, take your seat. Take your seat. Majority Leader, you cannot dictate how the chair is going to handle its business. Honorable Nyutu, under 1 minute, kindly extend one word of words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity, and thank you for correcting the mischief by the Majority Leader. I take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to welcome the pupils and teachers of Ikondo Primary School. This is a school in the Maragua constituency, and to be specific, in Ginda ward of the same constituency. So I take this opportunity to welcome the good pupils and their teachers and encourage them to stay on for the time that they are going to be here to see what is done in this particular house, the upper house, that basically is about evolution. And Mr. Speaker, this is a school that is very progressive, and I know and I want to assure the pupils of Ikondo Primary School and their teachers that we have faith in them and their future is very bright. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, approval of Senate nominees for appointment to the Board of Trustees for the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion. This is the approval of Senate nominees to the appointment to the Board of Trustees for the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament, that pursuant to the resolution of the Parliamentary Service Scheme on the Parliamentary Service Commission of 23rd June 2025 with respect to trust deeds and rules for post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament, the Senate appoints Senate Justice Retired Stewart Mazayo and Senator Esther Okenyuri to the Board of Trustees to the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, that is what it is. I request Senator Ledama Olekina to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion as moved.
So, honorable senators, I'll proceed to propose the question that pursuant to the resolution of the Parliamentary Service Commission of 23rd June 2025, with respect to the trust deed and rules for the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament, the Senate appoints Senator Justice Retired Stewart Mazayo, EGH MP, and Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, to the Board of Trustees for the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament. Now, honorable senators, the floor is open for debate. Now, remember, honorable senators, that this matter was elaborately explained to us during our last Naivasha retreat. It was adequately interrogated by us during that meeting. And therefore, I would urge you, instead of spending more time to debate on the very same matter that was explained and interrogated by us, with your concurrence, I proceed to put the question. Honorable senators, I will now put the question. That pursuant to the resolution of the Parliamentary Service Commission of 23rd June 2025, with respect to the trust deed and rules for the post-service medical scheme for members of Parliament, the Senate appoints Senator Justice Retired Stewart Mazayo, EGH MP, and Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, to the Board of Trustees for the post-service medical scheme